take the tips that I've given you, and I promise you, you will have a nicer collection over the years than treating them like the kid you were back in the 90s. Hey there, Pokey people, how you doing? Hey there, Pokey people, how you doing? Hey, Pokey people, how you doing? Hey there, Pokey people, how you doing? It's John Hanson of Caster's Collectibles here. So some of the top mistakes I see people do, easy one, and I know everyone doesn't want to do this, but if you're gonna rip a set like Evolving Skies, where your top card, raw, is over $500, or like Fusion Strike, that has an absolute hammer of the Alt Gengar, wear gloves. Guys, just wear gloves. Your fingers, I don't care if you wash them, they're still, after a point in time, going to get oily again. They're going to leave resin on your cards, and if you don't clean your cards after a while, whatever is on your fingers that gets transplanted to the cards and then sits in a sleeve for however long, if it's bacteria, what does bacteria do? It grows. If you've ever seen top loaders or sleeves that have a film of dirt going across them, it's more than likely dust getting trapped in those areas, sticking to the bacteria, and the bacteria is gonna form what ends up being a bit of a almost resin looking stain on the cards. From that point on, you have lost so much value. The best thing you can do, just wear gloves. Next big thing I would say is when it comes to ripping packs open. So a lot of people rip down the sides. I personally like to open it like a candy bar. So you're gonna take this fold here, get it until it pops open like a chip bag. I don't know if you can see that. And then from this point, that was kind of an unclean rip there, but taking your corners, making sure you at least get one side to slide the pack out, because if you otherwise leave this and go to pull, all you're gonna do is grind that corner against that top of the pack. Bam, you just took your PSA 10 to probably 9 or an 8. Green code card, exciting. Let's see what we get here. And just a hollow, that's all right. But here, something else I can say as well. Another mistake, big thumbprints on cards. When I see streamers rip people's packs open and they don't have gloves on, and they're gonna go like this and just smudge their whole finger on the card, you're ruining people's collections before you even mail it to them. Like, please. Again, just go back to the gloves. But anyways, I like to hold my cards on the side like that, try to reduce any chance of edge wear, or if you have a long fingernail that day, end up scratching your card. If you're really gonna be delicate, take the top, release your grip a little bit, and just place the cards really on a mat. You should space them out. You should not lay cards on top of each other. Let's per se, when we had the first edition the first edition Jungle Pack that got ripped here, ended up being heavy, had a Venomoth. Now I did see a slight hairline scratch on it, probably from sliding the Venonat that was in front of it, and I can already feel just a little bit of a snag going across that card. Now, these newer cards are made a little bit tougher. Older cards are a little bit more fragile, which is why they're so much harder to grade. On top of just the grading companies being extra deliberately hard on them because they're not trying to inflate populations of 25-plus-year-old cards. And then sometimes you open up a pack and you get the wonky one that's all janked up. Nothing you can do about that. Don't ever feel bad about pack damage. Unfortunately, quality control for the English Pokemon cards, not that great. Japanese cards, they have a pull tab on them, which I suppose I can go get a Japanese pack real quick. Japanese packs have a nice little pull tab right here that you can go down. Now, there is a problem with this, as when you do this, if you go this far, you are on top of the card. So, look at how that isn't gonna be very nice to your card. For Japanese packs, you can do there's an assortment of way of opening. You can't really do them like English packs because the tuft up here for the hanger is very, very thin. As you can see, it's barely a single piece of plastic. But going down the seam, now I'm not looking at these cards, so this might look a little ugly on my end, but again, just try to avoid nicking the corners on the card when you pull it out. A lot of people, when they pull, they're gonna catch, if they pull the card out this way, first thing they're gonna do is nick that corner on the way out. And it's just gonna cause unnecessary damage. One last big mistake I would have to also say to wrap this up would be not penny sleeving your cards within moments of opening it. If you're gonna open it right, now, personally, if you're gonna rip a big pack, give it a little wiggle and a jiggle, get the cards to the bottom, take your luckiest pair of scissors and snip them open. You can either slide or pull them out. Now, if you have gloves, you don't have to worry about leaving that big thumbprint stain that I see commonly when we clean and prep cards before we send them off to PSA. And I don't mean chemically clean, I mean just removing grime and fingerprints from them. That big thumbprint, when you pull them out of the pack, that's gonna be a problem. Gloves eliminate that issue. But pulling them out, going about your normal way, really, if you get a big hit, you shouldn't even put it down before you put it on a penny sleeve. Simple fact, if there's something on this mat like this one, you're either gonna leave that on there. If it's a larger piece of debris, you could possibly end up leaving a small indentation on the card. But put it in a penny sleeve, put it in a top loader. If you're not gonna put it in a top loader, put it in a binder. Stop using 3-ring binders. Guys, it is 2024. We have so many different brands of sewn-in pocketed sleeves. Just choose one. Doesn't matter if it's a cheap one on eBay, although the cheaper you get, the more you're probably gonna have to buy new binders. But putting them in the penny sleeve, putting them in the binder, a big key thing too. Walking around with them, you have to realize every time you take a step, it's like a miniature earthquake inside there. Those cards are gonna shake and jiggle, especially if you have them in 3-ring binder. Good googly moogly. So the other common bad practice I see, and it happens with 90s cards all the time because people didn't know back then, your 3-ring binder is gonna leave ring presses in the card. If you do not line it up right, you're gonna see that big dent going across the whole left side of your page, as most of those cards will end up getting pressed into. So let's recap real quick. Gloves, if you don't really care about what you're gonna pull, you don't gotta wear gloves. If it's like Pokemon Go and you don't really care about the old Art V, fine. But if you're gonna rip something like Evolving Skies, please wear gloves. Have a brand new, fresh, clean pack of penny sleeves ready. Go above and beyond and get yourself some top loaders. We sell them here 100 for 10 bucks. Stop going to places locally that are selling $5 for 25 and stuff like that. Just get yourself a nice, I like to use BCW. Here's another little side hint. The tops of the top loaders, more space to slide your card into versus Ultra Pros, which I feel are extremely tight pressing up against the card. When you're going to pull out a card from a top loader, don't take your big old fingers, pry this open, and pull it out. You're gonna be more likely, see how nice this is also? It just slides right in, so easy. BCW. If you're gonna stick your fingers in there, you're gonna increase your likelihood of indenting the tops of cards, and there's a certain card shop that I do business with, and when I see that, it's the same spot every time, and I'm just like, there's too many generations of cards that this is happening to. This has to be a person error. But my little hack is hold it like a can, take a couple fingers, bam, now the top of the card's out. You can slide it out with no problems. But gloves, penny sleeves, top loaders, binders, if you're gonna use top loaders and you don't have a top loader binder, which you can also buy those very cheaply on Amazon, ETB boxes are not bad for top loaders, but make sure you put some kind of divider or space eater in there, like a build and battle box of sorts, something small to cushion the rest of the open space, because you don't want them just flopping forward and backwards inside the ETB box. And then from there, just take care of your cards, guys. Don't be throwing them around. I mean, if you're a competitive player and you don't care about the quality of the cards, I do not argue with those guys. I get it. You're playing with them and that's what they're made for. But if you're a collector and you want to keep your cards as pristine as possible, whether you want to sell them raw or have them graded by PSA, just take the tips that I've given you and I promise you, you will have a nicer collection over the years than treating them like the kid you were back in the 90s. For that, guys, Cashers Collectibles, we're out.